Hey guys, my name is Q Benjamin. Welcome back to my channel. I am a Canadian artist. This channel is dedicated to encouraging creatives from a faith-based perspective and dealing with all of the topics and issues that uniquely impact us. Of course, with the intention of also encouraging myself because I know how difficult the creative grind can be. So let's just dive into today's topic: why creatives shouldn't envy other creatives. Well, let's break this down. I think as creatives, it's very easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others. Industries like music, fashion, and art make success visible, and social media amplifies this by showing only the highlight reels of others' lives. But we all know that the constant comparison, it's not only draining, but it can also be pretty unnecessary. So today we're going to talk about what both research and the Bible suggest about comparison and how it actually harms our creativity and well-being. So I took the liberty of doing some research, and a study by the American Psychological Association found that constant comparison leads to anxiety, depression, and a lack of fulfillment, especially among creatives who struggle with imposter syndrome. I know y'all know about that. If you've ever felt like your work isn't enough after scrolling through social media, you're not alone. I can totally relate. I remember looking at social media sometimes and being in a place of rest or a season of rest and genuinely needing that for my mental health, for my body, or whatever have you. But it would be so difficult. And that's arguably so important to actually find inspiration to be able to continue on the creative path, to find inspiration to be able to be creative. I would always get so distracted because I would see other artists putting out music or doing different things. And I would just feel this unwarranted pressure to be working harder, doing more, even though I was already working hard, even though I was doing a lot, like in different seasons, you have to juggle different things. Sometimes it's not just your art that you're dealing with. A lot of times you're doing whatever creative endeavor, but also you're working, also you're going to school, also you have to navigate and deal with family things or a relationship. And so it's not always easy to be able to juggle everything, but sometimes social media can make you feel like you're behind the curve or you're late. And that's always how I used to feel. And now I find myself taking long breaks from social media, like 8, 9, 10 months sometimes. It's actually so peaceful. I recently deactivated Instagram for the past 8 months and I haven't even been back on Instagram. You guys, I feel so much peace. And that's not even in relation to just being a creative. I think that I'm in a time right now where I don't really know what my next thing is creatively, but that's okay. That's also part of my journey where I am right now. And I don't know where you are right now, but it's okay wherever you are and however you feel. That is totally fine and it's okay. And allow yourself to feel those things. I think sometimes we can cut the seasons that are necessary for us short, even if that includes sometimes a rest or a break or focusing on a relationship in one season and not so much creativity. But then when you go on social media and you compare yourself and you see all these other people doing creative endeavors or dropping projects, whatever you're watching, people performing, I think sometimes you can short circuit the season that you're actually supposed to be in that's going to grow you and help you because you're feeling pressure. So you move off of pressure as a result of what somebody else is doing and not as a result of what you should actually be doing. And I know that it's super common in our circles, but I don't think it has to be that way. We have to embrace our own unique journeys to be able to get to where we want to go. And that's part of what makes you uniquely great. And what you see in somebody's journey is 99% of the time, in my opinion, not what gets them to the end result, not what makes them great. It's not what makes their art dope. It's those times when the camera's not on and there's no posts being made, when somebody's writing music, when somebody is practicing, when somebody is going through things in their real life to be able to have inspiration for their creativity. With all that said, comparison often stems from seeing others' success on display or endeavors on display. Because let's be honest, it's not always success that can be triggering for these things. Both the Bible and modern research reveal that stepping out of this cycle can free us to focus on our own unique path. As I said, this channel uniquely exists to encourage creatives from a faith-based perspective. Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the Bible, whether you're a Christian, it's neither here nor there, but we can definitely always garner and take wisdom for our journeys from the Bible. And when I was reading the Bible, I definitely took a ton of wisdom away. I also just grew in a lot of perspective for my own path. The Bible addresses the issue of comparison directly, and it does that by warning that comparing ourselves to others often leads to insecurity, envy, and competition. But instead, it invites us to focus on the gifts and purpose that God has uniquely given each of us. In Galatians 6:4, it says, "Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else." So the verse teaches us that assessment is more valuable than comparing ourselves to others. It encourages us to focus on our own work, acknowledging our progress and unique talents without reference to anyone else's achievements. I think a way that we can practically apply this as creatives is, instead of scrolling through others' accomplishments or doubting your worth based on comparisons, take the time to review and celebrate your progress. We as creatives can use this verse as a reminder to value our own unique contributions and stay motivated by our growth rather than external standards. And you guys, that growth can be something as simple as, hey, I am learning to have emotional self-control, or I'm learning emotional regulation, and I didn't snap on anybody in traffic this week, or I didn't snap on anybody in general this week. Not my friends, not my family, not anybody outside of that. These things are even small milestones and successes that you may not broadcast on social media, but these are also milestones that you personally can set for yourself to be able to focus on as part of your own unique creative journey. Instead of scrolling through others' accomplishments or doubting our worth based on comparisons, we can take the time to review and celebrate our progress. We can use this verse as a reminder to value our own unique contributions and stay motivated by growth rather than external standards. And for more creative wisdom, Psalm 37, 1-2 says, "Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away." This is one of my favorite verses, you guys. Every single time, one of my biggest issues was like meeting people in real life and feeling like, and I could be wrong, only God knows people's hearts, but I would have like super negative interactions with a lot of people, and I would see them have success or hear about their success. People would tell me about them, or I would see it on social media, and it would irritate me so much. So throughout my faith journey with God and throughout my journey as a creative, I really struggled with things like this. It's like, this person is doing all kinds of things to so many different people. I've seen it. I've had a negative experience with that person, and I feel like they're an awful person. And here they are getting all of this success. Not only are they going to reap what they sow in terms of how they treat other people or how wicked they might be, one, but also number two is they also sow seeds in the direction of success. And it's societal success by cultural standards, by society's standards. They sow those seeds, and so they also reap them as well, right? And often at the expense of emotional intelligence, often at the expense of character, often at the expense of integrity. We don't need to be those people. And I think creating this community is a group of us creatives who want to prioritize holistic growth and success that includes spiritual success, which sometimes doesn't always look like what societal standards of success and cultural standards of success look like. This is one of my favorite verses because it cautions us against envy, particularly against those who might achieve success through unethical means. I don't need to name drop here, but over the past couple years, we've seen a lot of really big figures really fall very hard and very obviously in the public eye. And the last thing we want is to be those people. So you want to be ready for success when it comes for you, when it's your time, when it's your season. And if it's even by cultural or societal standards, if you're even a person who is destined to be successful on a public platform, I think sometimes it can be a real blessing to be in a hidden place and in hidden seasons. But you also have the time to grow in your character and in your integrity to be able to uphold those platforms and to be able to uphold the image and be who you say that you are. For any creative, I think this verse is such a great reminder to trust the long-term value of integrity. Focus on creating work that aligns with your beliefs and talents, trusting that the right path will yield lasting results. In 2 Corinthians 10:12, we're also reminded, and this is such a great verse, 2 Corinthians 10:12, "We do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves. When they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are not wise." This is amazing because it warns against seeking validation by comparing ourselves to people who promote themselves. This reminds me of hip hop, for example, and the culture that a lot of us have subscribed to, a lot of us have loved and respected. And I think we see some of the fruit that has come out of that now, some of the bad fruit that has come out of that at this point. And I think it's just such a great warning against seeking validation by comparing ourselves to people who promote themselves. In the Bible, Paul is teaching in this verse that those who set their worth by comparing themselves within a limited circle are not wise because they lack an external or meaningful standard. I heard this term once with regard to humility, just like trying to really nail the disposition of humility. I'm coming to value more and more and being a lot more cognizant of and trying to prayerfully strive for that. Somebody had told me once with respect to that, compare yourself to Jesus. Don't compare yourself to other people. And for those who may not believe in God or the Bible, I think the main thing to take away from that is compare yourself to a perfect standard. And when you compare yourself to a perfect standard of like no sin, somebody who is absolutely perfect and walked the earth blemish free in their character, integrity, uncompromising, never compromise their values, I think it's so easy to be humble because you really start to see how flawed of a person you are and how much grace you need and how much mercy you need. And for those who are believers, like just never forgetting being saved and how much of a privilege that is, and the grace and the mercy that has come with that and continues to come with that. So comparing yourself to other people, it's unwise. And comparing yourself even to yourself and who you were years ago is not wise either, because you're not that person anymore. We're continuously changing. The verse also warns against seeking validation by comparing ourselves to those who promote themselves. I think the best way that we can apply this as creatives is, rather than measuring our worth against our peers or social media metrics, finding value in our own unique voice and purpose. I think we can use this wisdom to resist the temptation of seeking validation from comparisons, focusing instead on growth, originality, and staying true to our values. And that can be the standard by which we compare ourselves to or hold ourselves to. And that way, there's so much less pressure put on us to also be like other people. That takes away from who we are authentically and uniquely, and takes away from the path that we're trying to walk. So I think the key point here is that the Bible warns that comparison is a trap, but it also gives us a way out by focusing on your own journey and focusing that God has a unique plan for each of us. As a creative, I used to feel so frustrated when I saw others succeed while I felt stuck, but reading these verses helped me to reframe my view of success. And I realized that I was already equipped to succeed on my own terms in a way that nobody else could duplicate. And knowing that if I stayed the course, that I could really trust God to get me to where I'm supposed to be and where I need to be in his timing, which might not line up with mine, but that's okay. If I trust God, then I can also be patient in that process. I hope that resonates with you guys. So early on in this video, I talked about how the Bible actually backs up what research says. It shows that comparison isn't just emotionally draining, it also affects our productivity and creativity. And that creatives who constantly compare themselves to others report feeling anxious, burned out, and uninspired. And it backs up what the Bible says. When you're caught in comparison, that means it hurts both your self-esteem and your creative potential. Both research and the Bible agree. Comparison limits us. It distracts us from developing our own unique gifts and our own unique calling. Real success comes from embracing our own journey. The Bible describes each of us as created for a purpose, and science confirms that focusing on our own path leads to more creativity, happiness, and resilience. Guys, this is why I love the Bible. People always make it seem like you have to choose between science or the Bible, but based on what I've read of the Bible and based on what I've seen and researched and studied on my own terms, I've seen that science actually backs up the Bible and vice versa. And that's part of what, to me, validates it as right and true. In creative work, we often measure success by external markers, fame, money, recognition, but both the Bible and research suggest that this idea of success is flawed. Real success is about what's happening within, not just external achievements. Peace, joy, health, purpose, wisdom, not just external achievements. And let's not forget the age-old verse that has been universally quoted even by unbelievers. Mark 8:36. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? This verse reminds us that external success is meaningless if it costs us our integrity or our peace. Success at the expense of our true self leaves us ultimately unfulfilled. And guys, you can look at so many past people who have come before us who have succeeded by societal or cultural standards, and they echoed this sentiment, and they didn't even have to be Christian to agree with this. They shared their perspectives, and everything that they acquired wasn't all it was cracked out to be. We can apply this practically as creatives by focusing on creating work that feels authentic and aligns with our values. That verse encourages us to define success based on fulfillment and impact rather than popularity or wealth. Don't compromise your ethics or purpose for temporary gains. Use this verse as a reminder to build on a foundation of integrity and authentic impact. And here's another one of my favorite verses. Proverbs 10:22. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it, which means that the blessing of people, or if you go by Christian standards, like, we believe that there is an opposite force also at play. So as a Christian, we believe in the enemy. We believe in a Satan that does attack people who pursue the Lord, who want to pursue the Lord, that wants to distract people from pursuing the Lord or his principles. And that means that the enemy can bless you too. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. And that means that there is painful toil for other blessings from Satan, from demons, from people often. It speaks of a type of success that brings joy without stress. It suggests that when we work within our calling, the rewards bring genuine satisfaction. We can interpret this verse as encouragement to pursue work that brings joy and aligns with our purpose. Success doesn't have to come with burnout if it's rooted in passion and integrity. It's like in the Bible, one of the commandments and principles is keeping the Sabbath day holy, which is also a day of rest. Very, very important. It doesn't have to come with burnout if it's rooted in genuine passion and integrity. So guys, the beauty of being a creative is that no two journeys are the same. The Bible emphasizes uniqueness voice and individual purpose, which is powerful. Studies confirm that creatives who focus on their own unique voice rather than imitating others experience higher levels of happiness, fulfillment, and career success. So focus on your own unique path and find your voice. Both research in the Bible shows that embracing your own path rather than imitating others unlocks your full creative potential. So instead of comparing, invest in a creative space that only you can occupy. It's easy to be distracted by what others are doing, but remember that your journey is unique. True success isn't about how you compare with others. It's about purpose, authenticity, and joy. Whether you're a believer or not, consider this. The wisdom in the Bible and recent research both reveal that comparing yourself to others does not lead to fulfillment. Instead, embracing your own journey, focusing on your own unique gifts, and seeing how your creativity flourishes is where your purpose truly lies. So before you leave this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment and tell me what you guys think. Does focusing on your own creative path bring more fulfillment? How can you apply this wisdom to your journey? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.